Hey, welcome. So today, we're jumping into the, let's be honest, kind of confusing and chaotic world of modern dating. If you've ever felt like you're just, rolling the dice when it comes to love, then you are in the right place. We're going to explore a framework that tries to shift dating from a game of chance to a process of, well, actual design.
So let's just dive right in with a line from our source material that really stops you in your tracks. More than half of marriages end in heartbreak. Wow, that's a huge number, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. It makes you ask, why? Why does something that starts with so much hope so often end in pain? The source suggests the answer is in how we even begin the whole process. And that leads us perfectly into our first section, the romance lottery. I mean, what a perfect name for it, right? It just captures how dating feels today, like you're playing a game of chance, just hoping your number gets called. But is that really how love is supposed to work?
Okay, this slide just nails the core conflict. On one side, you have the cultural script we've all heard a million times. Follow your heart, you gotta chase those sparks and butterflies. But then on the other side, there's this quiet, painful reality for so many people, connections that just fizzle out, tons of confusion and anxiety, and that feeling of, wait, is this it? Is this all there is? The advice we get just doesn't seem to lead to the results we want.
And here are the classic symptoms of playing that romance lottery. I'm sure these look pretty familiar. Ghosting, mixed signals, that hot and cold behavior that can make you feel like you're going crazy. We end up putting all our chips on that initial chemistry instead of looking at someone's character. We get stuck on these emotional roller coasters and end up in those weird situationships where nobody knows what's going on. It is absolutely exhausting.
Okay, so if the lottery is the problem, what's the alternative? This brings us to the real heart of the solution from our source material, and it's a total paradigm shift. It's about moving away from chance and stepping into something called a process of discernment.
So what does discernment even mean when we're talking about dating? Well, it's not about ignoring your feelings, not at all. It's about looking beyond them. It's a disciplined process, one that uses wisdom and patience. It totally changes the main question from, do I feel a spark right now, to, hey, are we actually compatible on a deep, moral, even spiritual level?
And this right here, this is the single most important idea. This is the sentence that reframes everything. Dating is not a romance lottery. It is a spiritual discernment process. Seriously, once you let that sink in, it changes the kinds of questions you ask, the speed you're comfortable with, and the qualities you look for in another person.
So, how do we actually do this? How do we practice discernment? Well, that brings us to the first pillar, investing in things that actually appreciate, that grow in value over time. And we're talking about two big ones, character and faith.
You know, this piece of ancient wisdom from Proverbs just cuts through all the modern noise. Our culture puts charm and beauty on this huge pedestal, right? But this reminds us that those things, by their very nature, are fleeting. They don't last. What actually lasts, what appreciates in value, is something much, much deeper.
And that deeper thing is character. I absolutely love how this is framed, not as some fuzzy idea, but as the only asset that truly appreciates over time. Think about that. Looks fade, money can come and go, but character deepens. And it's not revealed in one big moment, but in these consistent patterns of integrity and humility, especially when things get hard. Now that's a foundation you can build a life on.
And right alongside character is faith. The source uses this biblical metaphor of being unequally yoked, which is like picturing two oxen trying to pull a plow in different directions. It just doesn't work. When your faith is aligned, you share a worldview. You're building momentum in the same direction. But when it's misaligned, well, you're starting with opposing foundations, which creates constant friction. You're just always pulling apart. So if character and faith are what we should be looking for, this next pillar is all about how we build a relationship. It's about creating a rhythm of reliability. And that is the absolute bedrock for building real trust and emotional safety.
You know, the word predictability can sound so boring, right? Especially in romance. But this slide just flips that on its head. It suggests predictability is actually beautiful. This idea of covenant consistency, basically a reliable commitment where someone's actions match their words, is the perfect antidote to the chaos of mixed signals and anxiety. It creates clarity, and it creates this amazing sense of emotional safety.
And this image, it just says it all. A true connection isn't built in a few dramatic movie-style moments. No way! It's built right here, in the steady, consistent, sometimes even boring work of having conversation after conversation, getting to know another person's soul. All right,
On to our final pillar, and it's a big one. It tackles the question everyone has. What about physical attraction? This framework presents timing not as some kind of rule book to ruin your fun, but as a critical guardrail, one that's designed to honor that attraction with wisdom.
This source highlights this really beautiful line from the Song of Solomon. And notice, it doesn't say attraction is bad. Not at all. It just says there's a right time for it. It frames attraction as this precious gift that we should handle with patience, not something we should rush or try to force. The wisdom is in the waiting. And here's exactly why that timing is so critical. Rushing physical or even just emotional intimacy creates what the source calls a fog of pleasure. And yeah, it feels good, but that feeling can totally blind you. It gives you this false sense of connection that hides major incompatibilities, the kind you only discover way later, usually after a lot of heartbreak. So this leads to a really powerful question to ask yourself. Is your relationship being rushed, or is it being ripened? Is it being driven by intensity and this urgent need for the next step, or is it being allowed to develop slowly, patiently, building that solid foundation of trust first? And that brings us to one final summary question. This whole framework really presents you with a choice. Are you going to build your love life on the shifting sand of cultural trends and fleeting feelings? Or are you going to choose to build on the solid rock of timeless principles like discernment, character, and intentionality? Because, as the source material makes crystal clear, the foundation you choose is going to determine everything that comes after,